Chrissy's back. I love it. This is a great week for Should Be a Morning Show. Always wonderful to have Chrissy back. You got to balance out the testosterone with some estrogen and unique insight and hilarity ensues is how I describe it, Chrissy. So welcome back. Glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm perimenopausal, so I've got a lot of estrogen.
Oh boy. Okay. Everybody be careful.
And just for the record, I feel like I might be PMSing myself, so just watch out.
I get it. I've dealt with a lot of male PMS lately.
Let's talk about male PMS since you brought it up for just a second. I think we have to kick the show off with the breakup of Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So this last week, Elon Musk was trashing the misnamed Big Beautiful Bill because it's hideous and horrible bill that has all kinds of terrible things in it. And Elon Musk hates it for probably the opposite reasons that Chrissy and Dave do, which is he hates it because it spends money and increases the deficit. He wants to slash government severely and slash taxes so the ultra wealthy like himself pay less in taxes. By the way, I saw a data point the other day that showed something like 57% of the entire national deficit for the United States since 2000, I think it is due to tax cuts for the wealthy. Literally directly attributable. 57% of the deficit that has grown since the year 2000 is because of tax cuts from the wealthy. So Musk was bashing the bill. Trump hated that because it's his bill and does what he wants for his Project 2025 friends, even though he endlessly tries to claim otherwise. But it really does. And Elon Musk, he had the black eye. They broke up. And then Musk tweeted an accusation of pedophilia, saying Trump hasn't released the Epstein files because he's in the Epstein files. And then Trump accused Elon Musk of being essentially, I'm paraphrasing, a drug-addled lunatic. So you have the two top people that were doing things to our government since January 20th. One is alleged to be a drug addict, and the other one is alleged to be a pedophile. And they're the ones that have been making all the decisions about your government since January 20th of 2025. How does that make you guys feel?
Oh, let's party, huh? With those fucking jerks.
I mean, I feel right. Because, you know, the criminal will always reveal themselves eventually, right? Like whether or not it's like on their, you know, death row walk and they're right there like, I did it, you know, or I think narcissists in general, like malignant narcissists like Trump and probably Musk, they tend to say the bad shit out loud and they don't even remember they said it, or then they deny it, right? Like Trump's infamous for saying things that he's done that are terrible out loud and then being like, I never said that. Asking for us to find 11,000 votes in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, so we could win an election. We have it on tape. We heard it. And then it was like, he didn't. I mean, that's the greatest part about these two, is that they're just awful out loud. I mean, it's right there. It was only a matter of time. Everybody predicted this would happen because you can't exist with two narcissists on that level in the same room. The cage match between these two queens was always coming. Like it was always gonna go down. Now we are in like, well, I don't know, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Like who is it?
So two things. One, obviously men are too emotional to be in positions of power. I've seen that going around. Second is, I was on Germany's DW News the other day talking about this. Trump wins. Musk is an idiot to pick a fight with Donald Trump. And I'll tell you why. And I love that everybody's trying to make a big controversy. Oh, Musk's going to do this and Musk is going to do that. There's no question that Musk made sure that in my mind, based on the amount of money that he spent, he ensured that the Republicans kept the House. He ensured that Trump won with the money that he spent in the right places at the right time in the election cycle. But Trump wins because Trump is the president of the United States of America, and he has the power of this entire federal government to use against Musk, whether that's canceling contracts, whether that's opening investigations, into Musk. Did Musk lie on, I've seen people talk about this. Did Musk lie on his immigration application? Right? I mean, his brother said so. His brother said that they were illegal immigrants in that one speech. So, Trump wins this battle. Money doesn't beat $250 billion doesn't beat the United States federal government. I'm sorry, it doesn't. He has the Attorney General, he has the DOJ, he has the FBI. He's got everything at his disposal, Trump does, if he chooses to exact revenge, which would apparently include, according to one of Trump's Truth Social posts, which I still think is one of the most funny names ever, that he wants to sell his Tesla now because of the fight.
Oh, he's unhappy with his Tesla.
Yes, exactly.
I love how you said that like a Bostonian, by the way, because Bostonians don't just drop the O's. We take the O's from where they should be and add them to the end of places where they ought not be.
I hate to break it to Bostonians. You are Australians. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah. My new car is a Tesla, is how you would say it in Bostonian. There are two sides here that are... One's entertaining, the other one's kind of terrifying. First of all the people on social media on the left who are, friends of mine who are like, oh, get your popcorn ready. Like this, it's a fantastic reality TV show watching the breakup. But
wait, a reality TV star president is putting on a really good reality TV show?
As he said after the Zelensky meeting debacle, like this is going to be great television. And it is. When it comes down to like Trump versus Musk, if they continue to butt heads, yes, I agree with you, Ethan, 100%, with the full force of the federal government and all the power therein, yes, Trump wins. But like there's some like social media spiking of the football among friends of mine on the left. And it's like, both these guys...
Who's spiking a football? That's so dumb.
A lot of people, because any little win against Trump or Musk feels like a victory for them. But all it is a reality TV victory, like watching the second to last person go off of like The Bachelor or something like that, and getting some schadenfreude off of that. They're both won in the end. Trump's in the White House in large part because of Musk. Yep. He's going to get his big beautiful bill. He's not in prison, which he would have been if he had lost. And Musk, if he wises up and just backs off a little bit, he's still got he lost a few government contracts and whatnot, and he's not getting the policy put forward that he wanted to in terms of the budget cuts and whatnot. But he's still got a treasure trove of information that he got from all his Doge people and stuff like that. Like, he won big also. So.
I mean, we're still the losers, to be clear.
Yeah,
we're still the true winners are China, and the true losers are the American people, because we're going to continue we're still going to have an economic decline here. There's no solution. While the WWE cage match finale has gone on, the shit's still bad. The economy still sucks. They're raiding fucking cities and towns, right? So, I mean, it's not like anything is, for any momentary joy that any liberals got from it, it's still kind of like, well, dude, you're still fucking losers. Like, you all still lose. Everyone's a loser. And China's just over here like,
China wins, and the one, back to our class thing, the 1% is going to win here too.
Of course.
Big beautiful bill is going to go through pretty much as it is right now, and it's going to crush the middle class. It's going to crush the poor.
Scott Galloway said that $10,000, $20,000 gap between $50,000 a year, where you're taxed at this new rate and you're going to take home 30, is crushing to those families.
Of course.
15 million, where you would pay 5 million in taxes. There's no harm between 10 to 15 million if you lose 5 million once you're at that level. So for sure, the 1% still wins. America fucking loses because they continue to be dumb cunts. Sorry, period. End of story.
You brought up Scott Galloway, though, and he said something that I know if I haven't mentioned it on this show, we've talked about it in the past, which is one of the miracles, and I talked about this golden age of the United States between the end of World War II and essentially, let's call it, 2010 or something.
Right.
But the point is, what made us great? It was high taxes on the wealthy. It was the growth of the middle class. The middle class on a standard middle class income could afford a home, 2 cars, and to send their kids to college for a better life. We got rid of that when we decided, and it was really Reagan that kicked it off in the 80s, when we kicked off this idea that greed is good and that the middle class doesn't matter anymore. And somehow, again, on the right, we've talked about this, on and on, the fact that, Trump is a social conservative and economic liberal has flipped the entire conservative liberal thing on its head anyway, because he's appealing to those who hate, who this immigration crackdown that we're going to get to in a minute, that's going on. But he spends liberally, meaning, defense spending so they can beat their chest. And I'm not against defense spending, but we have to tax the wealthiest to pay for it. And
Right.
cutting food stamps, cutting, Medicaid, $800 billion. You're talking about 10 million, at least 10 million people are going to lose their health care coverage under this big, beautiful bill. More than not will be in red states. So these people vote against their own interest.
I mean, it's like literally the math never maths either. Like my favorite thing is like, okay, so we're gonna destroy the middle class. Who the fuck's gonna buy your products, you dumbass? Like, if we have nobody, no universal income, but create a situation where nobody can exist because they can't fucking buy anything. Like, there's no economy.
And what it is it's essentially the dystopian Running Man future, which, by the way, they've announced that they're looking into.
Okay.
I mean, specifically. And what it is when the masses are too busy, and I've talked about this aspect of it when it comes to homeless people, the non-monolithic homeless issue that we have. There's a fair number of people who can't break the cycle without a tremendous amount of help with homelessness, and this applies to keeping people down, like you were just talking about, is that the executive functions are essentially repressed because you're so desperate just trying to survive. And so they're spending their money on things to relieve the pain, which is entertainment, and possibly drugs, and it's possibly pharmaceuticals and other things. But you're unable to break free when you're that repressed. I mean, the French had their revolutions. The U.S. had its revolution, that kind of stuff. But it takes really serious numbers of people to reach that level of, I don't care enough about my own life anymore that we can all get together and have a revolution. But they're able to get every dollar that you make back into the 1%.
I just don't see America having the fucking chutzpah or the balls of the French do to burn the whole fucking thing down. They're too distracted by exactly what you're saying, and they're too self-medicated. It's like, as long as I can buy something on Temu and play video games and self-soothe.
It's numbing of certain aspects of that executive function, but it's also a brilliant victory of message of blaming all your woes on the other.
Blaming all your woes on women is exactly what the cis white male, Charlie Kirk.
There is 2 parts of that. So, we've talked about what happens to young males in our society now a little bit.
Yes.
And so look, the left has a part in all of this.
Agreed.
It's not just the right. And the left, by the way, through all of this, tell me who is the leader for the Democratic Party that has a simple, cohesive message. Anyone. Name me one.
There's none.
Can't give you one.
None. There's no leadership on the left. Now you got Corinne Jean-Pierre. I got to tell a story about Corinne Jean-Pierre for a second. Have you heard about this?
She jumped ship to sell her book?
Yes, because she didn't get hired for a morning show like Jen Psaki did. However you pronounce her last name, Psaki. Yeah. And so she was pissed that she didn't get the gig. But I'm going to tell you, and there was a lot of commentary from people in the DC world who were like, she was a grifter. She's a grifter. I called her a grifter before anybody did, by the way. And I was pissed when she was named press secretary. Ask my wife. Because I believe I was up against her on her very first Fox News appearance when she was trying to create her media career.
Okay.
She came on TV and I saw it. I saw right through her. It was like, oh, you're not even here because, so like, I think I might be the exception, by the way. When I talk about stuff, I talk about what I believe. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
You know, I might turn it up to 11 for TV, you know, like Spinal Tap, right? I'm going to turn it up to 11. But at my core, these are things that I'm saying because that's really what I believe. And, you know, I can't think of an exception to that right off the top.
And by the way, just to behind the green curtains for people that don't realize, when you get asked to be on those things, you've turned down quite a lot because they'll say to any of the pundits, you are going to take this side and stick with that. And if you can't, like the producer like me is like, I need a panel that is diverse and can argue, right? Because that's what gets good ratings. So they call all these people and they tell them, you have to stick. And if you don't want to stick to that point, or that's not what you agree with, you have to say no. If you have any moral fucking compass.
I can pull up a text message that was sent to me not very long ago on where I specifically said, I will never argue that point.
So within that context, you meet Corinne Jean-Pierre.
It was such a pathetic argument on her part. You could tell she wasn't saying anything that she believed or knew.
No, she
know what I mean?
Just wants your face on TV. That's literally,
yes.
This is the fucking problem with Democrats, is they are just as ego-driven as the other side.
But also, not a lot of this is really new. The narcissism and the BS and the grift among politicians or media people or politicians who go into media.
I just think we're saying it out loud. We used to be polite and not say this shit out loud.
But I think the issue is not quite as much that. It's that's there, but the left isn't good at this shit.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, the right does all the same stuff, but their message is simple and they plow forward with it, and it's effing effective. And there's no leader, as we're saying, and no message on the left.
Every single time something happens on the Republican side, they're messaging. Remember, they just said 2 weeks ago that the big beautiful bill, the Medicaid cuts, were for guys in their mom's basements. They weren't going to take it away from the poor people. And literally everybody repeated that statement.
It's why I hate us having a two-party system. And every time we have tried to get a reasonable third party started, the two parties eat it alive.
It's because our country is so valuable, Ethan. It's like the world's biggest superpower can't ever be, like, it's like why we cannot have nice things, because we got too rich too fast, almost. Like, it's like we can't have multiple parties. We can't have health care. We can't have any of these things because we've got a profit.
But also, I want to point out something on the Democrat side, because I did say this, and I didn't name names, and I'm willing to name names today.
Bring it.
So one of the things that pisses me off more than anything in the Democratic Party that I have personally observed is we fail people up. Meaning, you just ran the shittiest campaign that anybody's ever seen. You failed miserably, but now you're going to actually move up to the next level of running campaigns. And it's why the hell are you rewarding failure? So this is where the not real in reality idea of meritocracy has to exist. If you suck at your job, you should not be promoted. The Democrats do that. You know, I was a huge Beto O'Rourke supporter.
Yep.
He had a campaign manager. Her name was Jen O'Malley Dillon, who fucked up badly. Beto could have beaten. Anyway, she blew his campaign. I blame her, and I blame Beto himself as well. And Beto, will at least own it. Unlike Jen. And then she failed up. And in 2020, of course, Biden could win because he was going to win, period. The second that James Clyburn, said, I'm endorsing him,
yep.
I don't care who your fucking campaign manager is. And then who was leading the charge for Kamala Harris?
Jen O'Malley.
Yes. And she's terrible. She's terrible at her job.
I had a really similar thing, Ethan, back in the day. young Dave, politically active intern at the State House in Boston, did a lot of campaigning in and around New Hampshire for his primary state during the Gore campaign. And one of the things I did was actually, like, I got a lot of insight because I was driving in the motorcades, and I was in like the first, just as it happened, driving the first non-Secret Service driven vehicle, and it had like not the top level Gore staffers, but all the people just below that,
middle management.
A lot of the names that were coming up, and they were complaining about Gore left and right. Why isn't he like Clinton? Why isn't he so brilliant on camera and all that shit? Here was the thing about like a couple of those days. He was actually amazing and funny at fundraisers when there were no cameras around. He was terrible and stiff whenever the cameras were there. And it's like, you got to coach this guy.
Job, by the way. You hire the right media consultants to help train him on that, for crying out loud.
And so they blew that campaign, right? After the Clinton years of peace and prosperity, it should have been his. Nice and easy, Southern accent, white guy, winning Democrat, coming off those years of peace and prosperity. They blew it, and all the people that I was around during that whole campaign season kept rising up and up.
Yes.
And they were there during the Kerry campaign that lost. And yeah, a couple of people probably got some credit, but Obama was always going to win in 2008. Right. And these weren't the guys with Obama from the first minute. They were the guys who crept back in and just went all the way up in the party structure. I still remember a lot of the names. I'm not going to blow all them up right now. It would just be boring to list them. But you see them all the time. I'm like, these guys have been running shitty campaigns. Ron Klain was at that point.
Biden's first chief of staff.
Yeah. I mean, up and up and up, right? But
they always fuck it up too, because what the Democrats do, I think, just like PR wise, poorly, is they try too hard to be cool. They're like your dad, that's a cool dad, showing up and like trying to be cool in front of everybody, and you're like,
skibbity toilet.
Dude, skibbity toilet Riz. You're like, let me. So like Beto O'Rourke, I can tell you the moment that campaign tanked, and it's probably his person's fault. When he was live tweeting his haircut, you missed. It whiffed. Like, I was like, dude, what are you fucking doing? That's not cool. That is not cool. You're a man of the people. You don't live tweet your fucking haircut. I'm embarrassed for you, and you could be cool. Like, you're a cool dude. They whiff it every time. Having Beyonce, I tell you, I swear to fucking God, no one listens to me, but if Beyonce is at your convention, you are fucked. If John Bon Jovi is playing the night of the elections, you're going down in a blaze of fucking glory with that dude. You will not win. Ask Al Gore. Like, and the Democrats do it every time, PR-wise. They are fucking embarrassing. You know what they couldn't do? They couldn't take down Obama because he's fucking cool. And nobody could uncool Obama. Like, nothing. Right. He was unfucking touchable. And what did the Democrats do? They think they can replicate that in this false way with Kamala Harris. But Kamala Harris, as cool as she could be at times, she already was proven to be a failure. To your other point, she ran a campaign. People did not want her. When she was going for it herself the first time, they didn't want her. So what did Nancy Pelosi do? First of all, we know Biden should have fucked off and just did what he said and said, I was just a bridge. Instead, he whiffed his own fucking ego. Surprise, surprise to nobody. Then Nancy goes, well, I'm old and uncool. So what do the kids want? They want a cool lady. They want a lady who's got, biracial, like it was so actually racist and fucking weird and uncool the way they slotted Kamala in, that even when Trump was like, so what are you, Indian or black? You can't decide. It was like, that's kind of awkwardly how she was campaigning. It was like, to whomever I am, I'm a chameleon, versus like Obama was just straight up like, I'm a G, I'm fucking Obama. What's up? You got John McCain going, don't fucking call him a fucking, terrorist just because his middle name's Hussein. Like, he's Barack motherfucking Obama. Where's your motherfucking next candidate? You don't have one, the Democrats, because you're so worried about being cool. And then you've got fucking dorks on the right who are literally like, I'm a dork. Charlie Kirk's a fucking dork, but you know who loves him? Other fucking dorks who can't get laid, that are hiding that they're homosexuals and fucking barfing all over women and telling them what they're doing, and Andrew Tate, who, you know, is basically an abuser, just like half the other fucking dicks, and all this, oh, your mom's basement. No, you motherfuckers are the one in your mom's basement on your fucking super cool swivel chairs doing, you know, podcasts into the ether that no one cares about because you can't get fucking laid. And the rest of you are married to women that you don't like and you can't fucking get your dicks up. So, like, you're all pissed at everybody, but at least you're all in that together.
So there's so much to say about.
There's a lot there.
Crissy. I don't even know where to start.
There's a lot there. Swivel chairs in the basement. You know, wives you don't like. Was that, or we're going back a little bit?
Dicks that don't work, keep going. I know they're all in the same crew. They are all coalesced together. God bless them. And the Democrats are like, what's cool? Israel, Palestine, Kendrick Lamar, Drake. Like, you are fucking uncool, all of you. You can't even be cool. They're at least all a bunch of dorks that can't get fucking laid, and they're mad about it all together, raging unto themselves like a giant rage ball. Like, the fuck?
My complaint about the new right dating back to before Trump was the hyper-individualism. I called it a disease. Hyper-individualism is bad for everything. It's bad for our country because we are individuals, but everything is not about us. We have to do things for the community.
But isn't that what Christians are supposed to do?
Yes, true Christians who actually follow the teachings of the red letter version. Does the Catholic Church have a red letter version of the Bible? Or I mean, I'm genuinely asking, Dave. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know that for sure. But on that individualism point, and what we're supposed to do for others, by the way, and part of this goes back to, you know, some of that pre-Trump conservative message, is also convincing people that they did things on their own initially, right? Remember back to the Obama, it was a little bit of a gaffe. You know, you didn't build that. You didn't do it because we've all gotten help to one level or another.
It was terrible messaging on
from family, from other people, from society, whatever it may be, right? The roads we drive on, the public schools. Anyway, up and down the line, and the Republicans have done a great job. And this is why a lot of the evangelicals and the right-wing Christians get so far away from that thing of like, oh, we do need to help the poor and help others, is because they've convinced a lot of those people in the middle class and the working classes that they've done everything on their own, right? And I hear that from a lot of my Republican friends, is that rugged individualism. They think that nobody's ever helped them.
But it's not rugged individualism. It's hyper-individualism.
Rugged, right? hyper, rugged,
yes.
Hyper, right?
Well, I mean, because there is such a thing as rugged conservatism.
Oh, for sure.
That's like rural Montana. You know what I mean?
Right, but they all kind of fancy themselves in the same way. You know, like, oh, if everything went to shit, I'd just like hunt and fish and I'd be fine. You know,
No, you wouldn't.
Dude,
no, not at all.
Everyone knows that the women of Gen X are surviving the apocalypse beyond anything. Like, when they write the actual correct movie about the apocalypse, it will be the Gen X women who are fucking hunting and farming. Well, okay, you can be in it, but there'll be like 5 men in there. It'll be like really honestly 5 men.
I'm out.
I know how to hunt. I know how to fish. I know how to field dress. I know how to grow food.
You get to live. You get to live. Okay, you get it. I'm giving you the pass card. You get to live.
But that's where conservatives destroy Democrats, is what I just said. I did a Fox and Friends weekend morning show once where they had me up against some that stupid alpha beta male crap. And they're like, oh, you know, liberal Ethan Behrman. I'm like, I know how to use firearms. I know how to hunt. I know how to field dress. I know how to fish. I know how to fillet the fish. I know how to prep the fish. But I'm a liberal, right? I believe that women have equal rights. Everybody, I don't care if you're gay, trans, LGBTQ, equal rights for all. And we shouldn't be, you know, so that's why I'm a liberal. It's this whole idea that liberal has to mean something, and liberals have done this to themselves too, where it's like, oh, we have to be all soft. No. Liberal men know how to use firearms too. When we joined the military too, and we, you know, I got all my merit badges in the Boy Scout, you know, all that kind of crap.
Weren't some of our greatest war generals Democrats?
Yes, but also, and I'm very involved with my children. I changed 1 million diapers. You know, it's like we can do both. It's not it's this false dichotomy. It's the Democrat versus Republican. It's a false dichotomy that we keep putting on people, and that's what causes so many problems. That literally leads to the oppressor-oppressed false narrative, the identity politics that divided us, It didn't bring us together when I'm just going to do this and I'm just going to melting pot. We each bring something to the table that has value. That doesn't mean that it's to the exclusion of others. And that's what happened.
But also,
and it's not okay.
It's super frustrating to hear this regurgitation from the right of what they want women to be, right? They want us to go back to the kitchen.
And if you choose to do that, that's great. I support you if that's your choice.
Listen, I've been working since I was fucking 14. If a guy wants to come along, pick me up, pay for everything, cool. Awesome. I can't wait to stop fucking working. But at the same time, these motherfuckers don't open doors. They don't treat us with respect. They don't have fucking manners. They suck in bed. And I'm supposed to get on board with that. I got to sign a prenup. You got a tiny dick you can't use, and you're pissed off because you don't have a good relationship with your mom, so you're oppressing everybody else. That is their fucking... So I'll get back in the kitchen, bitch. I've been cooking since I was a kid. I'm Italian and Greek. I will tear this shit up. But not for some fucking guy who's going to make me sign a prenup, make me his fucking slave, and, you know, treat me like shit, which is what those guys want.
I agree with you. Don't force people. We provide opportunities, and when you choose something, but that's also where everybody. Social media has made this all 100 times worse, if not 1,000,000 times worse. Which is everybody is worried about what everybody else is doing, and the part of traditional kind of true conservative values. I'm going back now more than 10 years. Was I want to be able to live my life as I choose. And that was part of what a lot of us liberals were fighting for when we wanted to, we wanted gay marriage or get the government out of marriage entirely so anybody can marry whomever they want. That's why we wanted things like cannabis to be decriminalized at a minimum, if not fully legalized. Because, look, you choose. The problem with the number of people in our country and the way we approach things is, for example, 100% supporter of legalizing cannabis. But that doesn't mean I want you fucking sitting out in front of my house so I'm breathing in your smoke. I don't smoke.
I'm not on the journey with you, sir.
I don't want to get high. It's not what I like. I don't like it.
May I suggest a gummy?
Right. But that's the point, is we all want to then force, and this is where the right has gone nuts these last 10 years in particular, is they want to force their values.
One quick thing to unite us on a positive side, and this is an anecdote that I'm sure that both of you guys will get. There is a world out there where it can work, and we just need to recruit some of the people from the Northern California counties. Like, once you get to Northern Mendocino and above, I remember my first couple of trips up there being like, what is going on? It's like old hippie in a old VW microbus, with the gray ponytail and stuff like that, smoking his weed, and then like next village is like, a bunch of pickup trucks with rifle racks,
right,
and just that kind of stuff alternates, and they would cross paths.
Ethan knows that from Santa Cruz, because Watsonville is all guys in trucks with,
Prune-tucky.
Down to their core, they don't agree on anything except for leave me the fuck alone and keep the government off my back. And they all get along on that basis. So there is a world where that can work. We need to recruit some of those guys.
Mutual respect.
Yeah.
And that's what we lack, is because we had a media ecosystem and political leaders who feed into the idea, and this is really where I blame Trump more than anybody, is this idea that we disrespect those with whom we don't necessarily agree. And that was the unwritten rule for a long time, is that we didn't do that at the high levels of politics. And then he came down the golden elevator and kicked that off and empowered some of those folks to feel like I can now be an asshole to everybody that I disagree with.
Wasn't that the whole point too? Like, James Carville was married to a conservative woman, and they lived in the same house, right? And they had a show together, and they were like, we disagree on this, but we love each other. Ultimately, we're Americans who want to see America win. Was always like, prior to Trump, that was kind of the thing. Like, even at Thanksgivings with your family, you could have Thanksgiving with your racist ass uncle because everybody had manners. And that's my other point, is that there's no manners. I'm down for manners, manners is something I would love to see more of. We don't
But the
have
progressive left is not for manners either.
Correct. I was just about to say, but the fucking hardcore left has no fucking manners either. So it's like manners are out the window, and I do think that's a product of Trump. That's a product of Trumpism.
Yes.
Coming, exactly what you said, coming down that fucking golden elevator, and like then we've just become unchained as people. Like it's just, I mean, you think about John McCain saying, "Excuse me, sir, no, Obama is not a terrorist, and I don't accept that." That was the most, like, that was the last time manners were ever used in public. I'm convinced, honestly. And they died with it. Mitt Romney had decent manners. I'll give him that. He still does. He went very reek from Game of Thrones when the Trump administration took over, though, so I'll never forgive him for that. But and he had binders of women, he claimed.
What an awesome dorky line, by the way. It was such a great
incredible.
Binders full of women. Like, fucking loser.
Dave.
Spoken like a true Bain consultant. What are you talking about?
Right? What a douchebag. God.
That's the problem I have with all of that. And like even the way our media shifted with, you know, you can't have a show now that just has people talking with different viewpoints. It's like the producer, that is me, has to hire the cast that's going to be the most wild. And then it's like, so that's why I'm asking you about like Charlie Kirk. I'm like, is he like a decent person behind the scenes, or is he just a stupid asshole?
So let me answer that question. Then we're going to move on to our next topic, I think.
Yeah.
Charlie and I had actually a really great conversation one day after being on a show against each other. And we were on set together. And I always catch flack because I look for the good in people. I really genuinely do. That's how I work. That's how I was raised, etc. And Charlie and I had a great conversation about things where we do have agreement. And because I always try and figure out, because most of our politics is set up to divide us.
Right.
And media reinforces that for ratings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Charlie and I did not get the feeling at all. This is my own experience. Yes, send me your hate mail. Should be a morning show at gmail.com. But I did not find him to be I've told you this, Crissy, behind the scenes. I have met people in green rooms and behind the scenes on all these different shows and networks and everything. They're really nasty, awful people. And I may disagree with Charlie quite a bit. I did not find him to be a nasty, awful person at all. And that was what was so interesting to me. And that happened to me an odd number of times. I mean, let me give you another example of that, because I met a lot of right wing. I met a lot of left wingers. I got to say, I probably met more people on the left who were nasty than people on the right. So for example, I met Mike Huckabee and Sarah Sanders Huckabee. Mike Huckabee, by the way, there's a reason he got as far as he did in politics. He was very much a Bill Clinton type. Unbelievably affable, remembers everybody's names, like really, really has that ability to connect in a way to another person. And you're like, whoa, that's wild, because most politicians are not able to pull that off. He really did. And he was, you can disagree with them all you want, but he was, at least deep down, I saw nothing about him.
What the fuck did he do to his daughter?
I'm silent because I'm not going to say bad things about people, right? If you don't have anything good to say.
Leave that to me. I moved to the South now. Leave it to me.
All I can say, Crissy, is if you met her, you would probably bite her head off.
Guaranteed. But also,
and that happens a lot too, by the way. So I don't know if Huckabee Mike was up from the bootstraps, but he certainly did the work for himself, right?
Right.
To make it as he did in politics. And then the daughter of the governor or son of the president or whatever either doesn't have the same skills or is a is silver
like
spoon in their mouth
scarred
jerk.
by her experience growing up, and therefore like mirroring what she thinks her father wants of her and act. I mean, like she's a fucking.
Any number of things.
I'm going to get a lot of hate for what I'm going to say next. I'm friends with Meghan McCain.
Oh, Megan McCain seems like somebody I would be friends with. Like, I'd probably disagree with her on a lot of shit, but I think ultimately she's
a child of a very, we were just talking about John McCain, right? I mean,
yeah.
she's the child. Sure, she has said things that I don't agree with. I mean, that's normal,
Yeah,
right?
course.
Chrissy said things I don't agree with. David said things I don't agree with. But she's a really nice person, and she's a genuine person. I didn't necessarily get that in that Fox green room with the other people.
My thing though is just kind of like with Charlie Kirk. If the apocalypse is coming, bitch, who do you want leading the charge? Me or Charlie Kirk? Who's gonna be out there with a gun, a fucking rifle here, a thing here, all the zombies, this, that, and the other? It's not gonna be Charlie Kirk. It's gonna be this bitch right here, okay? And I'm gonna be like 55 years old and just like literally tackling the world, saving the world, and that guy's gonna be behind me running away. He's a fucking pussy. Like, we don't talk about, like, he's a fucking pussy, and I'm tired of being told as a woman.
Charlie?
Yes, that guy. There's zero chance Charlie Kirk is fighting in the apocalypse. This is where my mind goes now. Always.
I gotta be honest. I'm not sure I'm fighting the zombies either. Like, I think I cave at the apocalypse.
Dave,
like,
your entire personality is not telling women how to be, okay?
I will fight the Republicans, but I'm not going to fight in the zombie apocalypse. At that point, I give up. Come what may.
I'm watching The Last of Us, and I'm just like, yeah, it's going to be me out there.
So I'm fighting in the zombie apocalypse, but if there's nuclear war, I'm running toward the blast.
Okay,
so I can be vaporized.
Done. Just get it done.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't want my skin melting off as like my final hours.
I don't want to survive a nuclear winter. I'm just telling you, I want to be dead instantly.
All I'm saying is like Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, Charlie Kirk, none of these guys are picking up a rifle and heading out there to like, I am out there. You are out there, Ethan. Dave's probably running ops from underground because that's where he's best utilized. Like,
well, if you're anywhere near me, Dave, you can join my family. But you know,
going for my last slice of pizza, and I'm gonna crack a beer on the beach, and let it happen. Whatever.
Let the tidal wave roll over you.
Yeah.
It's look, I'm Gen X, right? Raised in the Cold War.
Goonies never say die.
I had my recurring nightmare as a child was nuclear war.
100%.
So I have played this out a million times in my head. What would I do to survive after a nuclear war? And none of them work out. It never works out. So that's why I know that, in case of nuclear war, I'm running toward the blast so I can be killed instantly.
I am doomed. Be on this planet Earth with goddamn Elon Musk.
Yeah, but I know how to fight the zombies. I prepared. And by the way, what never gets talked about that I believe I can share because I've been out of the military for so damn long. By the way, I have my veteran's ID card. It took only the VA, I don't know, a year to get it to me. Oh, I was too embarrassed ever to ever even talk about being a vet. I don't know if you know that, right? Because I was injured. I have a reconstructed left shoulder. So I didn't finish basic training, right? Because that's when I was injured.
You went in. You didn't do kitten heels, gold spurs, like bone spurs.
No,
like
I joined. And worse, I've told you this story, Crissy. I wanted to be a 96 Foxtrot. I aced the ASVAB. I scored so high on the defense language aptitude better, the D lab. So the ASVAB's like an SAT, and the D lab is just a language.
You would have been at the DLI in Monterey Bay.
And I told you, I was actually qualified to go to Monterey, California. I hadn't been to the Central Coast yet in that point in my life. And so when they said, yeah, it's like a 1-year AIT in this place called Monterey, California, I'm like, where's that? And in a year? No, I'll join the infantry instead.
Okay.
Right. So, but I did finally get my VA card, and
that's awesome.
I was just too embarrassed. I was embarrassed because to me, I failed. I didn't get to actually serve my country, and it hurt me badly because
you fucking enlisted and you went there to do the damn thing. Yeah, it matters. It matters. President fucking Kitten Heels Bone Spurs. Fuck that.
I literally felt my grandfather was a lieutenant colonel, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. He was my hero. Gulf War breaks out. I'm like, all right, it's my time. I've got to go. I'm going to do my duty. And then to fail out of basic because I just my shoulder was just completely trashed. I was literally embarrassed. I was like, I can't carry a veteran's car. I'm not a veteran, and I am a veteran, but you know what I mean? It's like, but I didn't get to go to Iraq. I didn't get to go to a combat zone. I didn't get to go.
No, because you had a different path. You know what I mean? To be honest, if you want to be spiritual about it, which I know Dave hates, but if you want to be spiritual about it, your path was different.
I didn't go to the Pope, so Dave doesn't hate it.
Cue the 3 a.m. podcast. I'm good with the spirituality. I just don't want a guy in a funny hat telling me how to be spiritual.
No guy in a funny hat, but the universe had other plans for Ethan. That's what I feel about that.
I work with a number of veterans, all that kind of stuff, and I finally decided that it was time.
Now get your ass down to downtown LA, Ethan, and start protecting everybody down there.
So the ICE raids here in LA, I have a lot to say about this. It's, one, I got to preface by saying criminals in the United States who don't belong here should be deported, right? I think most people on the left agree with me on that. So if you're a gangster, you're a cartel member, you're a whatever, we don't want you here either. And again, that's where the progressive left, I always had an issue with the open borders thing. Nope. Every sovereign nation on earth has the right to know, as does the United States, and it's part of our entire legal system. We get to know and control who enters our country.
Right.
We get to know that. And this is reason why when Crissy, as a U.S. citizen, crosses the border, still is subject to an intense level of search and scrutiny that has been upheld by liberal and conservative Supreme Courts, right?
I'm white, so they never do anything, but yeah.
Right. But people who are brought here as kids, people with big families, kids are born here, we have to differentiate how we treat them. And so to militarize the ICE raids under Stephen Miller's Gestapo-like orders is unacceptable to me. By the way, as I understand it, so let's start with I don't like when pro-terror people are out protesting and wearing masks. I want to know who they are too.
Yeah.
So I also don't like, and I understand why certain law enforcement people want their faces hidden, because let's call out the hypocrisy on the right for just a second, or the left and the right, both sides. Trump pardoned 1,500 people who stormed the Capitol.
Yes.
Okay? I don't agree with that at all. You storm the Capitol, you do the time, you're guilty if you did it. And all these people were found guilty. He pardoned them. So he excused domestic terrorists. Okay? I don't agree with excusing domestic terrorists. I don't agree with terrorism, period. I mean, you're going to break into the Capitol and desecrate it and try and stop an election from being certified? No, you belong in federal prison. Enrico Tarrio, who Trump pardoned, I don't agree with that pardon. And that's okay. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with pardons every president has done in my adult lifetime. So we've talked about that. But the right doesn't like it when left-wing protesters wear masks, but they like it when ICE doesn't want to be recognized because there's rumors. I can't validate this yet. It's a rumor that ICE has actually hired some of the January 6ers.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
And so they don't want their faces shown because the left will be able to jump all over that. Hey, that person was convicted of a federal crime and is now working in, whether it's CBP or ICE or anything.
We see these just as like you're just hiring fucking U-Hauls, and like half of these dudes. The problem with the masks is that, you can't tell now what's happening. It's like the purge. These dudes show up in masks out of U-Hauls trying to rape women and like claim that they're ICE, and there's no way to determine if they truly are ICE. And I saw a veteran talking about this on his, he was a military veteran, saying like, unmask yourselves, motherfuckers. Do this in uniform. Yeah, like,
That's right.
Do this in uniform, bitch. Like,
you have the power of the government behind you.
Yeah, he's like, I fucking went and fought in uniform. I didn't get to wear a mask.
Right.
Every terrorist that was in the Middle East one, I was fighting them face to face, knows my face.
If you are following the rules as the government set forth for you, you are not going to be found guilty of anything.
Right.
So it's only if you're breaking the rules. So, I mean, that's why there's the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ. We hold people accountable. You know, if they're breaking the rules, you go and murder a group of people, you get put in Fort Leavenworth, right? I mean, it's we have rules. And the other thing here about LA, though, for just a second, is immigrants, and almost the whole country, by the way, immigrants are crucial. They're our neighbors, they're our friends. In the first Trump term, the security guy at the Westwood One Studios in Culver City, I told him, I'm like, when they were talking about deporting Dreamers, he was brought here as a child. Yeah. Has an American wife and American kids. And I said, no, I'm not going to let them take you away. Right. Yeah. I will do everything in my power to make sure that if they end up coming after you, I'm going to do whatever it means, including if that means I'm going to have to harbor you at my house, I will do that. Yeah. But the point is that's where LA stood. The legitimate Angelenos stood up and were like, you can't just take people out of our community. That's not okay. If they're a gangbanger, I want you gone. Right? I mean, even Angelenos are like, if you're part of whatever gang that doesn't belong here, I don't want you here either.
Yeah. And guess what? If that's all they were going after, everybody would be behind it, and there would be no need for fucking masks. Even the most lefty peacenik liberal would be like, yeah, get that gangbanger out of the community. But that's not who they're going after. They're going after
government
anybody
workers
and everybody.
They're going to fucking primary school graduations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck that.
It's very complicated. And that's where I hate both sides for making it black or white. It's a false dichotomy. Well, ICE can't do any of this. That's also wrong.
Can you explain the legality of what ICE can do? Like, so just from a legal point, like a legal perspective, where are the lines blurring in LA at the moment?
ICE does have tremendous leeway to detain and arrest people. Tremendous leeway, especially when you're within about 100 miles of the border. Okay, CBP, or if you're at an airport or any of these ports of entry, they have an incredible amount of leeway to do things. And again, that's what I was saying about. There's a lot of Supreme Court precedent on that. So most of what they're doing is completely legal. And so when people are freaking out about that, but where the right is wrong.
Okay.
My very first Fox News primetime appearance, I discussed this. There's this United States Supreme Court case from 1997 called Prince, Printz, v. United States. And it was Justice Antonin Scalia who wrote the majority opinion. And it's under what's called the anti-commandeering doctrine, meaning if the feds create a law about something, that would be immigration, that would be border enforcement, they're not allowed unless expressly permitted by law, meaning there would have to be Congress would have to pass a law signed by the president, or it's in the Constitution that says that the local law enforcement is required to work with the feds. The feds cannot require local law enforcement to do anything on their behalf. Required.
That's what is a bone of contention right now with Los Angeles, right? Like they were saying that the LAPD was not cooperating.
Yes, and they are not. They are not. And again, that was a conservative Supreme Court that said you cannot require local law enforcement to do the feds' job, essentially. Okay. So if they call local law enforcement and say, you're coming out, we're going to do this big ICE raid, LAPD has every right to say, no. We'll handle, certain things around that, but we have no reason, we have no requirement under the law or the Constitution to do your job for you. So if they call up LAPD and say, go help us round up, LAPD can say, no, we're not doing that. So the right wants to say, oh, it's treasonous, it's against law. And Stephen Miller likes to make all. No, Justice Antonin Scalia wrote the majority opinion, the leader of the entire originalist movement, essentially, or at least at the Supreme Court level. That was the 1997 decision. No, the local law enforcement, local anything doesn't have to do anything that is required of the feds. If the feds have a rule about it, the feds have to do it. You cannot require the local anybody to cooperate or perform on your behalf unless there's a law written that says in this circumstance there's funds tied to this, we can require you to do it, then they do have to do it. But otherwise, no, there's no requirement. The other thing I want to talk about, speaking of the legal side, Crissy, is President Trump is trying to take control of 2,000 National Guard troops in the United States. So National Guard troops report to the governor of the state in which they reside. And that's why Texas was able to send National Guard troops to do Border Patrol enforcement under Greg Abbott. Right. He has that right to do that. Gavin Newsom can say, no, we're not going to help you do ICE raids and all this other stuff. And only in times of war is when the president can say, we're going to take some National Guard troops during the Iraq War, that kind of stuff, Afghanistan. There are rules over how the National Guard takes orders from the feds, and 999 times out of 1,000 it requires the governor's permission. So even during the Iraq War, all the governors were like, yes, of course, we have a war going on, you need some additional troops, you're going to take them. And that's how so many National Guard troops ended up serving overseas during that time period. But Trump claiming he's going to take 2,000 National Guards, now we run into an entire states' rights issue again. And where this comes into play, and I love that the right used to talk about this all the time when Obama was president.
States' rights! States' rights!
States' rights. But the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 prohibits using federal military resources, the Army, to go perform police functions. So that's why you haven't seen the Army Reserve come in and support ICE. And that's why they're looking at the National Guard, trying to make the National Guard support ICE, because that's a state level troop which does not violate the Posse Comitatus Act. So again, if this was happening in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott can send the National Guard to support ICE and CBP and everything else because he's in control of that. But Trump doesn't get to come into California and force 2,000 National Guard troops to support it just because it circumvents the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. And it's a really important point. And the reason that came about was, think back, that's after, the Civil War. It's during the Reconstruction period. We didn't want a racist president to come in and start sending in the army to enforce whatever new Jim Crow rules against black people. And that's one of the big reasons we passed that act as a country. But otherwise, what the protesters are doing wrong is we have, and I saw this during the George Floyd protests that I personally covered live streaming over at 3rd and Fairfax here in LA. Remember that, Chrissy? Mm-hmm. Yep. You were here at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I lived right there.
Yep. And I rode my bicycle because I wasn't going to drive. I rode my bicycle right into the heart of those protests and I live streamed.
Park La Brea, that's exactly where I lived.
Yep.
Remember Fairfax? They couldn't get into Park La Brea because of the gates, but it was right there.
And I rode my bike over from my part of town, right? And literally like a 1977 Schwinn with a kid seat on the back. I'm not kidding. I did. And it was my father-in-law's bike way back in the 70s. Anyway,
I have a feeling where you're going with this. I'm very
and you know where I'm going with this. Uh-huh. The overwhelming majority of the protesters there were peaceful and just wanted their voices to be heard.
Yep.
And then this car pulled up some beat up old piece of crap with ACAB written on the side. And these mostly, they appeared to be whitish guys and gals, jumped out and escalated.
Right.
They literally jumped out, bullhorns, riling people up, getting in the cops' faces. It was a funded group who came out and helped lead violence and ill-advised actions towards the police. You can think what you want of the police all you want, and there are bad cops and they get held accountable and all this other good stuff sometimes, not always. But the point is the majority of the cops actually live here, work here. They may live far out because they can't afford to live in the Fairfax and Third neighborhood.
No way.
But the point is to create violence when violence was absolutely unnecessary. There are groups who do that. And again, most of the kids at that protest were kids that were upset that George Floyd, and they believed that there was all of this injustice that was happening. They were peaceful kids. They were not there to create violence. It was an organized group who stirred up the violence. I personally observed that.
There's a bit of a forest for the trees thing going on here. Like, yeah, there is a problem with paid agitators, coming in and fucking up otherwise peaceful protests.
Yeah,
for sure. That's might happen a little bit more these days, but that's an old story. It happens, and it's always going to happen.
Yep.
This is still the Trump administration, doing some perhaps legal stuff, and I appreciate the legal perspective from the get-go that, especially the initial point that ICE and CBP have a lot of leeway legally, especially within 100 miles of the border or near the ports or whatever. This is still essentially secret police. This is full-on fascism going on.
100%.
And even if the protest on the left isn't perfect, but that's exactly what Trump wants. He wants to fucking go in with his secret police, stir this shit up, have the outside agitators come in, create a riot.
So that's why I keep coming. So you're absolutely right, Dave.
But it's Trump first and foremost.
Always.
This is
him.
the fascism power play.
It's also to distract. Keep in mind, Trump is the master at distraction. He's so good at manipulating people. Look, I can disagree with whatever, but that's why I say he's going to beat Musk. He is masterful at this stuff. He is absolutely masterful at manipulating, so to Dave's point, he brings an extremely aggressive group into LA, knowing that LA, look, we're such a heavily immigrant city. I mean, it's just so heavy. And we embrace the immigrant culture here. We really do, for the most part.
I think the best you'll see of America is at a Dodgers game. And no disrespect to Dave, because I know Boston is similar, but it's like the best that you see is always at a baseball game, I think, right?
I love LA. You guys love LA for sure. I love Dodger Stadium too. It's awesome. It's beautiful. But what's Trump started here, ICE agents, mass and stuff like that, fucking up Los Angeles, starting a fight with the governor that his entire base and a lot of the country, even that might be a little bit liberal, still look at those like Gavin Newsom and the California elitists, so he's picking the perfect fight for himself. It's all this chaos in California, in Los Angeles, fighting against Gavin Newsom, and the mayor doesn't want to, it's a sanctuary city, and Gavin Newsom doesn't want to help get the gangbangers out of our country.
And that's the mistake the left makes, right? So you're just hitting it again. So Trump could have done this in Florida. How many illegal immigrants are in Florida? My God.
Or by the way, where Christy Noem's state is filled
South
with
Dakota.
illegal migrant workers.
Anywhere.
But he chose California because it's perfect for what he's trying to do. Yeah. We fall into it, his trap, every time. Why would you show up and go fight with the ICE agents? I mean, it's like that feeds into the right justifying the need for this type of police action and masks and
Can I play devil's advocate? What do they fucking do?
You line up peacefully and you get as many people out as you can, and you but you don't throw rocks at the windshield, attack. You keep away from the violence. There's a reason why Gandhi, I'm sorry to bring this up, but why Gandhi, whatever faults he may have had, but non-violence was the only way to get what they truly wanted. Any indication of violence back. Literally, they were getting beaten and they never fought back. And the reason you do that is because you give the other side an excuse when you fight back. That doesn't mean to lay down and die. Because remember, in India, they outnumbered them. Here, we outnumber them.
Yeah.
And
I think there's more people in the city of Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles area, than there are in the majority of red states.
Yes.
Like in the big red
just
state
LA
cities.
County has a greater population than something like 34 or 41 of the state. I mean, it's some huge number.
Yep. The hardest working people that you've ever seen in your fucking life. And there's millions of them. Millions of them. And so I think it's hard for people to conceptualize. And it is also why it's Donald Trump's bee in his bonnet, because it is the wealthiest city. It's the wealthiest state. It's the state that is emphatically majority wise against him, although Orange County does have a strong Republican party, but it is, and we had a Republican governor, right? Like, so it's not like it's whatever, but for the most part, the majority of California has been anti-Trump, right? He doesn't, so it's always been an attack point for him, which is why I'm kind of like, I feel like California at this point, if we don't have a constitution and we're not following anything, they should, you guys should just leave. Like, you should just secede and do your own damn thing.
Those are always the easiest straw man lightning rods. California, New York, same way. Yep. That's what the entire, middle America is like. Those weirdos are always effed up, right?
When it comes down to it, it is about Trump having control over people that don't like him. And he's also pissed that those two states that are strongholds against him are the wealthiest fucking states we have. And Texas has always threatened to secede anyway, right? Like,
and who wins if we secede?
I don't care. California can win. It has the GDP. It has the GDP.
Who wins if California secedes?
Well, America loses.
That's right. China wins. Anybody that wants to see the downfall of America wins, because California is the fourth now. I think it just passed that threshold. Is now the fourth largest economy in the world. And you pull that out, which is, there's no legal method to do so anyway. And it's just, it weakens, unless we're going to join Denmark or Canada or something.
Let's do it. I still pay tax in California.
I actually got to say the other saddest part of that is if California secedes, I think the New York Yankees win, which would really break. So please.
I mean, come on, dude. Can't have that.
No, can't have that. I can't take that right
We
now.
play the Toronto Blue Jays. You can play the California Nationals or whatever we become. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a risk I don't want to take. We need that LA Dodger firewall.
We have one other country in the MLB. You can have another one.
I hope so. I would, if it happens, it has to be. Otherwise, I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm going to go to the beach.
The Dodgers. That's our money.
If that happens, I'm going to the beach and waiting for the zombies in the tidal wave.
Mount Etna blew this last week.
It sure did. Did you see those people running for shit?
Run for your lives has a whole new meaning. And I was watching some people that looked like they were kind of half jogging. I'm like, I don't care how you feel today. This is the day you run like hell. I mean, that billowing cloud coming down the mountain behind them, why would you not go at literally till you pass out? I don't understand.
I never studied a ton of geology, but whenever these things come up, I'm like, man, you know what? I should have become a volcanologist, if for no other reason than just, I think that's the most badass thing to say. Meet somebody at a cocktail party in a bar. Oh, so what do you do? I'm a volcanologist.
Did you also see that they found that like the bottom of Lake Superior, some huge part of it, is actually a billion-year-old volcano?
Amazing.
Oh wow! So amazing. It's like that's a big caldera.
Yeah, like a rift valley that's happening in East Africa right now is what formed Lake Superior potentially.
Wow.
Also, like, that gets me very existential. You're like, it's 1 billion years old, and we're like fighting over like what's happening like day to day in a 24-hour
How stupid
news
humans
cycle.
are.
Humans are so stupid. Like, we're like, it's actually embarrassing when you think about it.
So are you actually a Pleiadian then? Now we're going to talk about, are we mixed alien?
Time for the 3 a.m. podcast. Let's cue it up.
Where's the Pleiades? Come and get me. Take me away. Just don't put me on a planet with Musk.
Where's the peyote is what I want.
Oh. Well, that's where we talk to our indigenous tribes. They're the ones who hold that history.
Which is the one that you throw up, though? Is it ayahuasca where you barf? Because I don't
I
want to
think
barf
ayahuasca
on my trip.
also.
I don't want to barf on my trip.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
you're a shaman for this.
Speaking of, I'm going to go smudge some... what's that called?
You need to sage your whole area because
I need to smudge the room
ice
now.
will come and get you.
There you go.
A candle, though, that of course says, watch out for my Jewish space laser. I'm going to have to light this now.
Fire it up.
Should.
Fire it up.
Dangerous.
I am. I'm going to fire it up.
Yeah.
All right.
It's dangerous.
So glad to have you back, Crissy. So glad all of you joined us, whether it's on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, wherever that might be. We always appreciate that. Please share with everybody. Follow us on the socials. Should Be a Morning Show. And again, shouldbeamorningshow.com. Can't wait to talk to you next week, you guys. Take care.
No, you motherfuckers are the one in your mom's basement on your fucking super cool swivel chairs doing, podcasts into the ether that no one cares about because you can't get fucking laid. And the rest of you are married to women that you don't like and you can't fucking get your dicks up. So, like, you're all pissed at everybody, but at least you're all in that together.